Now, fans are growing more concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press. Rachel Zegler has been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney's. We've heard her bag the classic story before, but there's more. There's always more. Let's have a listen.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
This is starting to sound nothing like Snow White. They've just got a character named Snow White, but the story seems to be entirely different. Joining me now to discuss Disney seemingly destroying another classic is Turning Point USA contributor Erin Elmore. Erin, we've heard these comments from the actress playing Snow White, who seems to have contempt for the original story and character.
Well, it seems as there's no appreciation for the Magic Kingdom and the original magic of Disney. You know, they're celebrating their 100th year of movie making. And instead of this woman talking about that and saying she's so proud to give her play on Snow White, she's trashing the original version, not paying any homage to history, and basically making it woke. And we all know how that goes. We've just seen several Disney movies. One, Stranger World in 2022 lost $147 million, and Elemental, their worst box office opening in 28 years.
Wow. And I just don't understand, if they do want to have these woke themes and modern stories as they see them, then write a new one. Why take a classic and basically trash it where it doesn't resemble anything to what people want to see? I mean, that's why you go along to see Snow White, presumably. Moving along now, let's talk about the president. We all remember he went to the polls on a platform of empathy. Let's have a listen.
My mom had an expression. She said, "Joey, you're defined by your courage and redeemed by your loyalty." It really is about reaching out. We just have to reach out a little more for people, man.
He was going to restore decency and empathy into the White House, Erin, but there's no sign of that. Over and over again, we see examples, and the recent wildfires in Hawaii that have claimed 90 lives at least, again, the president has been found wanting. He seems to have this never-ending beach break. Reporters were camped out there for hours. Finally, they got to ask him about those devastating fires, and this was his response.
Talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
Erin, you would think he would have something to say, some words of comfort, some indication if the feds are going to do anything to that you would expect from a leader at a moment like this, where a state has been utterly devastated.
This is not decency. This is not dignity. This is a man that completely has lost touch with reality. He could have said so many things. We are praying for the families and we will get them help right away. But unfortunately, this is what we're seeing with Joe Biden in America. Every turn and every time something happens. Look at East Palestine, Ohio. He did nothing and never visited there either. And that was a terrible tragedy for those people. And what about our Afghanistan withdrawal? So many Gold Star moms were sitting in Washington, D.C. talking about their young men and women who were lost because of how callously Joe Biden and his administration had handled that withdrawal. Our open border with fentanyl pouring in, he seems not to care and just sits on the beach in Delaware. We have so many problems in this country, whether it's also sex trafficking because of the border and just inflation, and he simply has no words except for no comment. This is not a leader. This is not decency. This is not the air quotes adults are back in the room. This is someone who certainly seems intent on destroying this great nation.
He spent about 40% of the presidency on vacation, it seems. I mean, that in itself, at a time of multiple crises, you've just explained some of them, is astonishing. Now, let's have a look at his press secretary commenting on the fires.
Senator Horino, who I said the president spoke to just last night, he thanked the president for the immediate support of federal agencies.
That's a very short clip indeed. And yet, Karine Jean-Pierre manages to make two major mistakes there. Not only did she mispronounce the senator's name, but she also seems to be confused about the gender of the senator. Astonishing.
It's a woman. And first of all, places in this country that are run by liberals want to make misgendering a punishable offense, not only criminally, but civilly and with damages. So you know what? She should be very careful. But what else this tells us is this is why you don't hire people simply based upon identity, politics, and virtue signaling. We all know that she was hired because she was a Black lesbian, not because she had these insane credentials or that she was like Kayleigh McEnany, who was a brilliant attorney who showed up for President Trump every single day with a binder full of stats and data. She was given this job to prove a point in an administration that doesn't value merit. We are not a meritocracy in America anymore, but just virtue signaling.
And she has just floundered in that role for so long. I am shocked she's still in it. You would think that, after a few months, they'd just make a better call. Now, what's going on with the bookstore Barnes & Noble, Erin? I saw this image. Let's have a look at it of a children's section. This is the children's section. And they've erected this big display table full of books about drag and pride and all sorts of other themes. It seems the left is obsessed with exposing children to very adult concepts, Erin, often very radical concepts.
Yeah, I've said this time and time again, and I'll say it here again for my friends in Australia. The days of passive parenting are over. We have to look at every book that our children are reading, both at home and in school. We have to check what is on their phones and on their iPads. We have to literally be a part of their every single day life and every decision that's being made for them at home and at school, because this is the ideology that is being pushed by the left extremely hard to destroy our children, to destroy the nuclear family, to destroy their innocence. And if we aren't paying attention, they're going to slide right in there, and God forbid our kids will get indoctrinated or worse.
And Erin, tell me about this women's rights rally in Austin, Texas. That was a great crash by trans activists. Here's one such activist wearing a I Support Black Trans Futures t-shirt who doesn't seem to be too happy. Let's have a look here. Hey, hey, ho, ho, these fascists have to go. Very imaginative indeed. That young lady makes an appearance in a little segment we've got called Lefties Losing It, so look forward to that. But after all that chanting, there was a bit of screaming and abuse, and this clash between trans activists and women's rights campaigners, it seems to be deepening, not just in the US, but in the UK. We've seen it right here in Australia.
It seems to be getting worse and worse by the day, but I will tell you, this is a Marxist movement. They want to devalue, destroy women, and they want to change our society to where we have absolutely no value and no worth. And by the way, as an American who loves the Constitution, I certainly don't believe this is the kind of peaceful protest my forefathers intended. We are allowed to have a difference of opinion. And I believe that women, biological women, should not have to compete in sports with men. Our young girls are losing a chance to win medals, go to the Olympics. And even in corporate America, we have worked so hard to break through the glass ceiling as women. And liberal women, by the way, used to say the future is female. What happened to all of that? Because all this is doing is erasing women from the equation. We are not mothers. We're birthing people. We don't have value. Men can have babies. We don't get a period. We're menstruators. And all of these things are very calculated. Trust me, these protests, these outbursts all over the world now, they are not an accident. This is a Marxist design to destroy our cultures and destroy our families.
Erin Elmore, always a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.